Hello you plonkers, and yes, I have glasses on. And welcome back to another video today on the Drewzy channel. 9 things we learnt from round 18, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just get rocked and rolling straight up. If you enjoy these videos, make sure you just hit that thumbs up button right now before we get into it, because it helps me out in the YouTube algorithm. So if you enjoy this stuff, drop a like, subscribe if you're new, comment what you learnt down below. Let's get into it. Number 1, the fall of the Saints. Since the bye, St Kilda have won 1 out of 6 games. That just shows the fall that they have had from grace. Grace being the start of the season when they were just tearing through sides. Fast forward to round 18, they've lost 5 out of their last 6. It's not going well for the Saints at all. On Friday night, the game was over by 10 minutes into the second quarter. The differential between the Saints' best and worst is awful. I don't understand how at some points in the season you can look like a top 4 side, and then at other points you look like a genuine bottom 4 side. They were right in the mix to contend for the top 4, and at the moment it doesn't even look like they'll make finals the way they're going. So the Saints are not looking good, and I'm not mad about it. Number 2, is there a ceiling for the Pies? The Pies have won 8 games in a row. For the last 2 months, they haven't lost a game of football. They were being hated on all season long, pretty much. People saying, oh, Richmond are better, oh, Carlton are better, all this and that. Collingwood have not been stopped for the last 2 months. It's as simple as that, mate. You can't question how good Collingwood are right now. They've got a stacked list. They're playing with confidence. They're playing with flair. They played Adelaide on Saturday morning. It was a wet drizzly game. It was a hard battle between 2 sides who were both up for the fight. And Collingwood, away from home, came out on top in a feisty affair. And I spoke about Nick Dacos last week, and I said he's probably going to be the best player in the competition one day. And after watching him play against Adelaide, there is no doubt in my mind that one day Nick Dacos will be the best player in the AFL, because he was best on ground on the weekend at 19 years old, 40 disposals, 3 goals at 82% disposal efficiency in the wet. I saw him fumble the ball once, and it was mind-blowing, because I've never seen him fumble the ball before. The Pies have answered every challenge that's come their way so far, and there's going to be more challenges to come, but I have full faith that the Pies can take it all the way. I think you would be daft to say that Collingwood can't win the flag this year, because for me, they've won their last 8 games against some really good sides. Collingwood are on. Number 3, the Lions bounce back. I watched the Collingwood-Adelaide game, didn't watch the Brisbane GWS game, so, what did I learn? Well, I learned that the Lions bounce back, because they lost 2 out of their last 3, and they needed to have a bit of a statement win, because last week it was very stinky against Essendon. Against Melbourne, it was non-competitive. I know GWS, they're obviously in a different phase than Brisbane, but Brisbane just needed a win to boost up their confidence, and they did that. Simples. Number 4, KANGA. For 2 weeks in a row, the Roos have come out absolutely firing hot, come out to a 5-goal lead, and this week it just felt a little bit different because things were just falling their way. Obviously, when a coach gets sacked, players often express themselves and whatnot. They feel free from the shackles of structures and whatnot. The direction would have just been, go on, go play your game, whatever, and they did that. Richmond sort of chipped their way back into it. They started just bombing these goals in. Bolter kicked one from about 55 out. Rewalt was kicking some in the 3rd quarter. And then in the last quarter, they got in front, and you just thought, all right, well, it's going to be the same thing as last week. Collingwood beat the Roos. The Roos didn't know how to win, and now Richmond are going to do it. They've just kicked to be in front. And then Cam Zurhaar, the hero of the day, for his 6th goal, nice bit of stoppage work from the Roos, tapped down to him, snaps it from the boundary, and sends Marvel wild. Also, do not want to underlook the fact that I think it was Jake Arts had a mark inside 50 with 30 seconds left and decided to play on. What are you doing, fam? Anyhow, the Roos can breathe a sigh of relief after 14 weeks of losses in a row to get back in that W column. Good job, the Kangas. We're heading in the right direction. Number 5. Geelong show their class in the second half. I was at the Freo game, so I didn't get to watch this game. I only got to watch the bloody KO mini. But in the first half, it was just what we've seen all season, which is those momentum swings. It was Geelong, and then it was Carlton. And then it was Geelong, and then it was Carlton. But in the second half, it was all Geelong. And I've been so impressed with some of their players who have stepped up this season. Guys like Tom Atkins, who I spoke about last week, and Maxi Holmes, both hitting the score sheet and both winning a lot of their ball. Jeremy Cameron, everyone knows what he does, but he is in career best form right now. He is unbelievably good, Jeremy Cameron. The goals he kicked against Carlton were nuts, not to be underlooked. And Tyson Sengler as well. I said last week he brings that flair, but he links up the play very well when he gets up the ground between the mids and the forwards. So Stengel, Atkins, Holmes, these guys are going to be the difference makers if Geelong are to win a flag. And I honestly think they can do it this year after the last few weeks. But we still got a month or so left of the season. A lot of water to go under the bridge yet. Number 6. Sydney Chipmark to beat Freo. I should have known that Freo wouldn't have won this game when I was driving to Optus and a car pulled out in front of me when I was doing 60 kilometres an hour and I smacked into the side of him. I should have just packed up there and just finished my day. But I didn't. I thought, you know what, I need to feel good again. I'm going to go watch the footy anyway, regardless. And then Freo just didn't even show up hardly in the last 3 quarters of the game. I expected the game to be more fast-paced because Sydney are a fast transition side. They like to sling the ball from one end to the other. And I think that's what Longmuir would have expected as well. It was a game where you could see one style versus another. One style, Freo's, wasn't working, and Sydney's style, the chip mark, was. Because they'd just see a target and hit it. They wouldn't hesitate. They'd just slowly build the ball up the ground, gain that territory, and then they'd have opportunities to score. They missed a lot of set shots. The margin could have been a lot more than it was. I think it was only 3 goals, but they deserve to win by 5+ goals. When you just chip mark, even if you don't kick a goal down your end, you're going to keep the ball down that way further from Freo's goal. I know that sounds very obvious, but Freo couldn't build the ball up all day long. We lacked creativity going forward of centre. I think Griffin Logue in the forward line is very important for us because our keys in Lob and Taberner, they're just not mobile. They're not creative enough to bring the ball to ground to our smalls. So really disconnected up forward. If you want more sooking from me, just go watch my vlog that I did. But it was just one of those nights where everything went right for Sydney. Like, the ball just seemed to drop in the favour of Sydney. They were just slotting these unreal snags from everywhere. Joel Amadi from right on the boundary line. Perfect set shot. Errol Goulden snuck one in from the left boundary. Heaney kicked one from 50. Buddy kicked one from 50. It's like, there's just these games where it's just not your day, and it wasn't Freo's day at all. Sydney are a good side. They could probably go all the way in 2022. It's a good season. Lots of contenders. Sydney were too good on the night for Freo. Number 7. Breust is timeless. You would have thought his prime was bloody, 2013, 14, 15, three-peat times, but he doesn't really look that different from that time. Kicked 6 goals today against West Coast, as I said, best player on the ground. Like, he's just timeless. He's just one of those, like, Tom Hawkins type characters that just seems like they're always good. And last week, Mitch Lewis kicked 6. So it's like Hawthorn have all these different weapons in their arsenal. They reach in their back pocket, they've got a Gluck. They reach in their other pocket and they've got a bloody frag grenade. They've got plenty of weapons to get the job done against any side, the Hawks. It's just that consistency that they need to get week to week, and they've won back-to-back now for the first time since round 1 and 2. Maybe that consistency is going to come in the later parts of the season. But Luke Breust, Mitch Lewis, they've got these guns up forward. They can put teams to the sword, get that consistency. Hawthorn will be a threatening side very soon. Number 8, the Dees switched on when it mattered. It wasn't the Dees' best performance, I didn't think, up in Alice Springs. It was a fun game to watch as a neutral. I think in that first half in particular, the connection from back to forward just wasn't there. It was a bit clunky, but it didn't matter because in the third quarter, when it really mattered, when push comes to shove, they just got the job done, did what they had to do to get the 4 points. They probably dominated for about 30 out of 40 minutes of play in that second half, and although the Port boys sort of kicked back really late into the game, probably could have had their chances to win it if they kicked straight, but they didn't, and that's the matter of fact of the game. Port pushed the Dees, and it was a valiant effort, but the Dees just controlled the game when they needed to, iced it out in that second half, got the job done. And number 9, Essendon embarrass the Suns. I had such high hopes for this game to be one of the games of the round. I was like, yep, sick, Gold Coast, massive win last week. They've been really competitive for the 2 weeks before that as well. Essendon in good form, but lower than them on the ladder. This should be a good game. And Essendon just absolutely smoked them. Gold Coast was so flat. It was a tale of 2 teams. Essendon playing some real good footy, and Gold Coast, who were just absolutely abysmal. So I learnt 2 things from this game. Gold Coast were abysmal. Essendon were really good. I think Essendon were best when they moved the ball quick, particularly off half-back, with guys like Nick Hind and Nathan Redmond. They just got those handball receives and got the ball moving forward. But it was just a big team effort today. I think every player on Essendon had a really good game today. That Draper goal was unreal out of the ruck. I was losing my marbles on the couch watching that. But Gold Coast's defensive pressure was woeful. It looked like a training drill that I was watching on my TV, and it was the lowest pressure whatever the pressure factor is exerted by Gold Coast this season. Essendon, yeah, they were good, but the pressure they come up against was garbage. The Bombers have now won 4 out of their last 5. Building nicely, the Dons. Building nicely, like I said last week, but it was just an embarrassing game for Gold Coast. Stewie Jew wouldn't have been happy with his boys' efforts tonight. And that's going to wrap up the 9 things that we learned from round 18. Make sure you like the video before you click off the video and subscribe if you're new. I'm going to be at the Under-15s National Championships for 10 days from Thursday, so I'm not sure how much content I'll be able to make over the next 2 weeks. If you're at those National Championships, come say hello. I'll see you in the next video regardless. Take care, you plonkers.